Toastmaster Nivedha, The Long Journey to Stage. The Long Journey to Stage, Toastmaster Nivedha.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmasters Satish Menon. And good morning, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. You all might know now that my speech length is 18 to 22 minutes. Now, most of you might think, 20 minutes? Nivedha's speech? Oh God. Or some might think, let me see what she says. And very few people might think, usually Nivedha gives good speeches. Let me listen to them. But have you ever felt a speech to be longer? Have you ever wanted a speech to not come to end? Come on, don't worry, I'm not talking about my speech. Speeches in general. You can raise your hands confidently. Yes. Yes. Thank you for your responses. I think we all have different reasons for that. Maybe the person they talk, you can like them, or the way of their speech, or the content they speak. So there might be a lot of reasons. But I have a different reason. When I was in school, I loved one thing more than anything in schools. More than my sports and more than my lunch breaks. It was our morning school assembly. Not because I was an obedient student, because our chairman used to talk for hours every day in assembly. Not just for announcements. He told stories which motivated him, and he shared about books he read. He recommended us the book. He talked a lot about what is in the book, and he shared how visiting other countries changed him and the perspective of his speech and how their culture, their disciplines, how it differs from our country. So he taught us English through his speeches. Though his speech is so engaging and interesting, I have a different and main reason to want his speech to extend. Because the more he speaks, the less of our actual classes. Sometimes when we have tests, I would pray to God that he has to extend his speech so that I can avoid the classes. But during that time, little did I know that this man who is making us escape from classes is also planting a dream in my mind. Actually, I was listening to a free masterclass every morning. I didn't know its value then. Then time moved so fast. I completed my schooling, joined college, and did my bachelor's degree in English literature. Everything was moving smooth until I found a notice in my home. So, this person, my chairman, has now started a college also, especially for English literature. Because he is so interested in English, he has started a college like that for BA English and MA English. Life has funny way of introducing people again to our life, right? So I was really curious because I wanted to speak English fluently, and since I know his potential, without any second thought, I joined the course. And guess what? He took us to the same assembly where school students were sitting. He was talking, and we were listening. The same person, same voice, same way of speaking, and sometimes the same stories. But I no more a school student. I was an adult. I really listened what he spoke. So the way he spoke, and I received it differently from my school days. The same story hit different to me. The story once I ignored felt so relatable. And I wanted to become a public speaker too because of this thought. And I just wondered, how could a person speak like this every day and still hold the attention? And at that moment, this thought came into my mind. What if I could speak like him? What if I can become a public speaker? And once I decided I want to become a public speaker, I did the first step. Watching YouTube videos of all public speaking members. Like tips to avoid fear, tips to uh, be confident, tips to become the best speaker. So I watched all the videos. I took notes and I collected all the ideas, kept ready, and successfully I can now write an essay on public speaking instead of actually speaking. For a few days, actually, I was waiting for my fear to disappear. It took me months to realize that we need practice to to become a speaker, and for that we need a platform. Now that I understood that we need a platform to speak, once again I went to the one and only solution on earth for every problem: YouTube. So I searched how to get an audience, how to get a platform. So it suggested me a lot of things. Speak in front of mirror, speak in front of people you are comfortable with, like your friends and family. So I tried that. I called my family and said, I'm going to give a speech. So I want you to listen to that and give me feedback. In India, we have a procedure. At least for women, there is one unwritten rule. We have two options after completing the education. Either one, get married, give birth, raise your kids. Or get married, give birth, raise your kids, and if your family supports, go for work. So I'm actually happy that many things are changing now. I'm talking about some 10 years back. But my family is not like that. They are so kind. They listen to my speech completely, sat patiently and listened to them. And my mom, at the end of my speech, came to me and told me, Nivedha, instead of wasting time like this, why don't you write any group exams like government exams? But I don't blame my parents. Because as every parent, they want their kids' future to be secure. But I was actually confused whether I have to be happy that my family thinks I want to go for work instead of getting married, or I have to be sad. But one thing was clear, that I can't get my audience there. No, I need an audience again. Again, I went back to the universal problem solver, YouTube. Thank God ChatGPT didn't exist then. Otherwise, I would still be there how to become a public speaker. Because it is so convincing. ChatGPT is so convincing that it takes all our history and gives result according to that. And also at the end of every text, it gives an attractive question. Would you like to have a 30-day roadmap? That is what we need, right? We need a plan. If AI could do that, why should we waste time? So for every text it gives us, and it makes us not come out of chat speed. So at least in YouTube we find real people. So they suggested me Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a word that I have heard a lot of times, but I never knew what it is. So I decided to Google it, and when I Googled, surprisingly, Toastmasters is what I was exactly looking for. A place to speak where we find audience, a place to learn from others when they speak, a place especially to learn by doing. So I love Toastmasters. So I decided to join. Since I was at Chennai at that time, I went to an offline club, joined as a guest few times, and from that I understood one thing: Toastmasters is something beautiful because people there, when you speak wrong lines, would never laugh. When you make mistakes, would never judge you. Actually, instead of that, they encourage you. They give you constructive feedbacks. So I felt so relatable after a few times attending as a guest. I definitely wanted to join there. I decided to join actually, but life had other plans. Government announced lockdown due to corona. Everything became online, and I moved back to my hometown. So I had two options: either I have to be ideal or I have to join online club. Actually, to be honest, I was not thinking that online Toastmasters Club is effective. Because for me, speaking meant people, talking in front of people, the stage, the audience, everything. So I actually thought, what change the talking in front of camera can become? In front of a screen, how can we reduce our fear of speaking in front of people? And so I just joined as a guest few times in our club. And on the first day when I have to introduce myself, that is when I realized one thing. Speaking in front of camera is also speaking in front of people. It is no way less than an offline Toastmasters club. So this is actually a safe space to fail and again get up and run. So it made me understand, after a few days, it made me understand that fear doesn't go away for any speaker. Actually, it is there inside. But we have the courage through practice despite of those fears. We get a courage. Toastmasters taught a lot of things that YouTube could never. Now, came the moment where I have to give my icebreaker speech. The room was so silent. Everybody looking at me, and my heart beating more than my thoughts. Now, looking back at that moment, from the moment where I was shivering to give my icebreaker speech to now where I am giving my speech for 20 minutes, almost completing a project. From getting answers from YouTube to the moment I'm discovering those answers through my own experience is what is my change. So through Toastmasters, actually it from every speech, every table topics, and every evaluations, every mistakes, it made me a speaker who I am now. I wouldn't say I have become the perfect speaker, but I'm sure at least I am not in waiting for something to happen. I am on my journey. So just imagine if I had not attended the school assemblies, or if I had not met my chairman again, if I had not searched in YouTube, if I had never found Toastmasters, I would have never been here. So, what I understood from that is speakers speakers don't become when they feel get ready. Right. They become speakers when they speak. So every confusions, every problems has a solution, and we have a learning. So what I learned from these things, from my school assembly, I learned that inspiration that doesn't happen just like that. It makes you think. When I was a school girl, I didn't think much, but as an adult, when I came back again to the school, there were a lot of things. And YouTube actually taught me knowledge is nothing without getting into action. And my family thought that not everyone has to understand your vision. Maybe when you get succeeded, they might understand. You shouldn't expect anyone to understand your perspective. At last, Toastmasters is something that taught me growth happens when you take action, when you practice. From a girl years ago, hoping for a speech not to end, to the moment today, I stand here hoping my journey would inspire others. And finally, from my overall speech, if if I want you to take something, this is this. Sometimes the voice that inspired you for years might not be the one that is remaining outside. It is meant to be your own voice. Thank you, and over to you.
Uh, that was an amazing speech. Um, the reason I'm saying is, uh, can you hear me, by the way? Okay. If you look at TT speech, it is like looking at a stem of a tree. And if you look at a prepared speech for 5 minutes, it's looking at a full blossom tree with branches and leaves. But looking at 22-minute speech, what I could say is I can also see roots of a tree. So she simply explained the journey of becoming a Toastmaster to achieve the goal of speaking in public, where she got inspired by in school by his chairman, and repeated listening of the story, how she how it got inspired her, and helped her to explore on public speaking, and then how she started practicing, and how the support she got from family. So there is a proper structure in it. So generally when a speech is connected to the audience only when it has a proper structure and transitions. Okay, effortlessly an audience can listen to a speech. That's when a 5-minute speech or 20-minute speech, it is easy. And she made sure it is happening. With school assembly, she attended the chairman's speech, inspired, and tried her on own. She joined the college, right? Again, explore on YouTube, another thing, learned about Toastmasters, and then she understood the environment of Toastmasters. She started with the icebreaker speech, and finally, she's now here at providing 22 minutes speech. That was a journey in itself, and she very properly stitched all the points together and present it. And I would say it's a long icebreaker speech, I would say, because it have one journey, right? So absolutely right. And the way she used certain vocabularies and proverbs is amazing. For example, little did I know. These are the patterns. Only unless you use it, it won't be a proper language, right? And similarly, she said like knowledge is nothing unless we start to act, and growth happens when you take action. So these words add value to a speech, right? So in terms of improvements, right, my perspective, um, so there are a little bit of hesitance when she provided the speech, right? So that because of that, there was some unintended pauses. Okay. So my thought was, it is your story. Nobody can question it. With full force, I think you have excellent communication also. With full force, you can go and blast it. Right. So that I felt, I think she can make it. So now there is a little bit of hesitance in the speech that she can correct it. And when you end it, this is as an inspirational story. You can make so many people get into your stage, right? Giving 22 minutes stage, because there's a journey in it and how you struggled, how you got into it. So when you end it with a punchline, if it is possible for me, it is also possible for you, right? So like this, you can put few other things which will make a presentation an inspiration, an impressional story, which will help others to act. So this is my overall comment. I think overall it is a fantastic story. Now I learned how to elaborate an instance from root to the tree, provide an interesting stuff. That is very important that you made it happen, Nivedha. Congratulations. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster.